Hello everyone, and welcome to my video. I am making an as of yet untitled third-person video game that takes place on a space colony. And in that fictitious world, technology is a bit more advanced than ours today, but not by much. So that colony, it was founded near an asteroid belt, in deep space, in previously uncharted territory. And the officially designated purpose was research of some newly discovered minerals that were found in some of those asteroids. And in the game, you will take control of an explorer who comes to the colony after all communications have gone quiet. And upon arriving, you find the local infrastructure to be in somewhat lacking condition and can see no humans around. The colony's robot population, however, are not absent, and they are showing some odd behavior. So just what happened there in the depth of space? Did an AI go rogue? Was it a software bug? A mutiny? An epidemic? Or an outside attack? The basic premise sounds very simple, but that's no different from how most good stories start. If you think about some movies you like, I'm pretty sure you can sum them up quite quickly. And for my project, I have a rough outline for a story in mind, and I really know what I want the game to feel like, but there's no recipe, no very exact way how it will go, and that's intentional. I have a background in architecture in my professional life. And from my years of experience designing things, like buildings and landscapes, I found that to get the best result, I need some very clear limitations, first, and then second, I need to iterate often and fast. So that's the approach I will take for my game as well. I will start with a simple, strong idea, some limitations, and then make a prototype quickly and iterate frequently. And the same is true for the assets, the art, the designs, music. The first priority will be to get something in the game and on screen, to get a feel for it, to see it all together, and then refine it later. And if it doesn't work, throw it all away quite quickly and start over again. And even if I end up with the same result, that's fine. At least going that route gives me more time to rethink my decisions and make sure they are all deliberate. So a big point to this creative endeavor will be making stuff fast, and I have some good experience in that. So I will try to share some of my process in these videos, and hopefully you can take something away from this, or if I am wasting time, please let me know, so I can improve that. In the many games I have played over the years, there are plenty of things I like and plenty I dislike. And my list of these values will probably be a bit different to yours. After all, we all have different opinions, different preferences. And that's exactly what allows for this wide variety of different types of games to exist that we have today. Which is a wonderful thing, I think. Like, even within the same game, different things will appeal differently to different people. Some love the combat, others the story or the world itself, the atmosphere. And these days I am especially interested in the worlds, the atmosphere, the exploration, the unknown, the surprises you can find in a game's environment, this interactive medium that you cannot really find in other things. Of course, the gameplay itself has to be solid. If it is a game that has combat as a main component, then that part better be good. Or if it has jumping, then that needs to be really solid. Otherwise it just doesn't feel as satisfying, it doesn't feel fun to play, even if the world is very exciting. So my game will put emphasis on environmental storytelling. But the very first priority is to focus on the game feel, the gameplay, to get that right, to get that solid, and then the other things come later. And this will also take more time to think about to make it cohesive. During the last few years, I have spent quite a lot of time making applications related to architecture, 3D interactive applications. So those are design applications and viewers for projects that I made. It's almost like an excuse to make something game-like while still staying in the field. So I made an interactive viewer for point cloud designs. This was for a landscaping project. This is in Unity. And this was the project that kicked it off for me to get into the software development. I made another design of mine, Walkable. This is in Unreal Engine. I wanted to try out different engines and see how the graphics would be. And most recently I created a first-person landscape designer. This is again in Unity, and the code is a lot more complex than any of the others, and I really tried to push myself, and I'm very proud of it. And so while none of these can be considered games, they are finished and usable applications, and they have taught me how to code and how to finish a project, and get feedback and try and make it workable, usable. So for the applications I used Unity and Unreal Engine as the engines, and that was simply because I got introduced to them by the people around me, and because they seemed like easy choices to me when I had no idea really what the differences meant. And they have good documentation online, that's very important, especially when you're learning stuff on your own. And so for this project, ideally I would like to make everything from scratch, even the engine. But that doesn't seem like the most time efficient idea. Even though it's very interesting, I think that's not the way to start. So instead, I will start using an existing engine, probably Unity or Godot. From having experimented with all three, I think they would all work fine and be very nice. But I do have a lot of experience with C# already, and I really like open source these days. So probably Godot will be my first choice. And later it might change, it might not. Let's see how it goes. So why did I make this video with nothing more than ideas and not much to show yet? Well, mainly I want to set a precedent. I want to make these videos for myself, mostly for two reasons. One is to keep me accountable. If I want to release a video every week, that means I need to get something done every week. That means consistent progress will be required, which is good. And the new year is just starting, and I would like to start at the beginning of the year and have something quite decent and enjoyable by the end of 2023. So I need some accountability to stick with it throughout the year. And as a second reason, I would like to have some exchange with the outside world. I'm quite an introverted person, a bit shy, and I have a tendency to sit in my room alone and get lost in my own head. And while I don't mind that, I can see how it's not healthy, especially for extended periods of time. And in general, having some exchange, some outlet, it really allows you to reconsider decisions you make and reevaluate based on reactions you get. And somehow have some feedback loop, get a review, make it public review session. In the end, it's very easy to get busy in your little isolated box and keep everything to yourself, your frustrations, success, ideas, and revelations. But sharing it helps. It makes things usually much better. It seems to be more productive in my experience. And in making these videos, I want to share some of this with you, and I hope to have a conversation with the people watching. However, the reality is that there will be some weeks where I won't have much to show. So I don't only want to make these videos about reporting on the game's progress, but instead mix in a few other things as well that are going on in my life. Like places I have visited, movies I have watched, or games I played. They may be related to the game I'm working on, they may not. Just general inspiration. It would be just like sitting down together for a cup of coffee and having a little chat about what's been going on. Just catching up after a week of work and life. So that's what I will end this first week's video with, having a cup of coffee. Thank you for watching, and let's meet for another coffee again next week.